Hi, and welcome to Writer's Ramble. I'm Deanna.
And I am the monster that lives under your bed. Also named Michael.
It's a good thing I sleep well at night, anyways, but
I'm coming
anyway,
for those toes.
nice. So, moral story, don't sleep with your feet hanging over the edge.
Unless you want me to have your toes. Like the tooth fairy? I can do the same thing. I'll give you money. I got money. I just want the toes. That's all. That's all. $50 per toe.
Foot
Give
fetish.
me your toes.
Foot fetish to a new extreme.
And today we're going to be talking about a very special topic, one that we feel passionate about. More specifically, Deanna feels passionate about, to the point where we've decided to name this something else entirely.
A new segment called a Writer's Rant. But yeah, there's some things that I feel very passionately about, and, maybe, Michael, you'll also have some that come to mind later down the road, because you have very passionately ranted on about things, and I just didn't feel the same way, but this one is mine in particular, so this is a rant that I have. I don't really know what to call it. I keep wanting to call it imposter syndrome amongst writers, but that's not quite the right title. If we were to sum it up, it's people who question whether or not they have what it takes to be a writer, or, am I a writer? What does it take to be a writer? All these questions that come up, and to me, I feel like the answer is really simple, but I'm gonna rant about it in this particular episode, so buckle in and have fun with that.
I have a simple answer. Do you use your fingers or hands to put words on a page physically or type with your fingers on a keyboard? Yes? Then you are a writer. Congratulations.
Yeah. I don't really know why they overthink this so much, like, and I see it all over, like, in writing communities, people where they're like, I think I want to be a writer, but I don't know if I have what it takes, or like, oh, I do write stories on my spare time, or maybe they've even, like, completed entire stories, and they're like, am I a writer? I don't know. And it's like, why are you confused? A writer is literally just someone who writes.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's the end of this podcast.
Tune in next time.
But in all seriousness, I do actually have examples, but what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, obviously, you can kind of hem and haw a bit about what constitutes a writer. I guess in like a more real sense, quote unquote, because like, yeah, technically if you've written things down, you're a writer, but like, would you even consider yourself a writer if that's not even something you're particularly interested in? You just know how to make words with your hands.
Yeah. Yeah. But like, if you're like someone who like has to write an essay for class and you're like, fuck this shit, I never want to do this ever again, it's like, no, I don't think that classifies as you like being a writer. Like, I'm talking about people that are wanting to write.
But then it gets kind of technical. The thing is, like, I don't know if there really should just be like a hard cut answer for this. If you want to write, if that's something that you're trying to do, whether it be professionally or just kind of as a hobby, I'd still consider you a writer. It has less to do with what you literally are and what you're literally doing, and just more so like, it feels to me almost like participation trophies, which sounds lame, but it's like, you have done it. You have written a thing. That makes you a writer. Like, if you... this is mainly just sort of like to be like inspirational a little bit, I guess. But it's like, don't just consider yourself not a writer, period. if you've like, written stuff, especially if you've written a lot of stuff, though that doesn't like mean that if you've written little that you're not a writer. But like if you've written a lot of stuff, if you have a full novel, like you said, I feel like you're a writer. um, but being published, self-published or otherwise, um, that doesn't validate you as being a writer. You already were. That just means you're published now.
Yeah, like I would say there's like a difference between being a writer and an author. An author just means that you have gotten it published and it's out there for people to read. Or at least I think that's more the technical term. That's kind of up for debate, I think, but I feel like writer is like simpler. It's just like it doesn't matter whether you're doing this just for a hobby or like maybe you only do it a little bit here and there, or like you're doing it very seriously like every single day. But it's just the act of writing and you have fun with it and you do it not because you were assigned to do it, but because you want to.
Yeah, and I mean, like with the author thing, you could actually even be like professionally published and like not considered an author because like if you write articles online or if you um write for a magazine or something
Like a
like
technical writer.
yeah, you're not really like writing a full book or something, but like you have been published. It's like that they probably wouldn't be considered authors then, more like writers, but that so it's a weird term because like it applies to so many different things, um, which is why it should be more inclusive rather than exclusive. It's like, am I a real one? It's like, yeah, most people are honestly, unless you literally can't write. You're probably a writer of some kind. If we want to be more specific, you might be a technical writer, you might be a fiction writer, you might be uh, an article writer or like a textbook writer. Sorry that you have to be a textbook writer if you're a textbook writer. That life sounds like pain. Um,
I wouldn't say that. Like I've thought of being a technical writer because you get paid to write. I know how to write.
Textbooks.
I know, but at least you can say that you're getting paid, to write. I've thought of it.
That's like the office job of of
No, like
writing.
I'm telling you, like with my job, like the thing that I feel I do best is like documentation because I'm a nerd, I guess. There's something wrong with me. Like when I have to go to the office and do notes, I'm like, oh, finally.
Well, clearly there's people who can appreciate such a thing. Personally, that sounds dry as frick. Uh,
It's not riveting stuff by any means, but
yeah.
you know. But I, in particular, thought of this because A, I see it in writing communities all the time. It's nothing new. And also, I have a close friend who has expressed over like the last decade like an interest in writing, and we would together kind of like write little things, back and forth. So they were like little stories, but over the years we kind of like stopped doing that, and then I was just busy writing my own stuff, working on my own projects, and then not too long ago she was like, "Oh, we should write together again," and I'm like, that would be really nice, but I just can't. But in her case, she really needs like someone to kind of like co-write with, and I was encouraging her like, just give it a try, like just try writing something, on your own and see how it goes. You might be pleasantly surprised, but in her case, she's just like, I don't know if I'm really a writer though, and I'm just so confused when I hear this because we were writing together for like a decade, and it's like, and you don't know if you're a writer, like what? And so,
I do feel like there's room though for people to have sort of different motivations to write. And for instance, I am very not extra introverted. I'm very introverted, and I would probably say more creatively controlling than I'd like. And so the fact that I can sort of build up my own world and have full creativity to do with what I choose with like my own projects is something that I like, but maybe other people would feel otherwise. Like maybe they find the act of writing to be more fun in a collaborative sort of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I can kind of see where she's coming from.
But anyways, I ultimately said that I couldn't help her with writing her story, and so she decided that she was gonna give it a stab and go at it herself. And I feel like she was writing for a couple of weeks, and I was really happy for her and trying my best to be encouraging, and it seemed like she was hitting um, writer's block at certain instances, and I was trying to help give advice with that. And at the end of the day, I don't think she's writing it anymore, and I was kind of disappointed when I heard that, but obviously I can't force her to write anything, but ultimately her reasoning was just like, I'm just not a writer, and it just drove me crazy when I heard that because, ultimately you just can't overcomplicate what it means to be a writer. It's like literally just the act of writing, and it doesn't matter if you think that your writing is just absolute shit. It's like, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Like, some people look at the weirdest abstract pieces of painting and they're just like, wow, this has completed my life.
Tom from Parks and Rec.
Yeah, it's kind of what I was thinking of. And, he didn't even like it at first when he looked at it. He's like, what the fuck is this? And then partway through, he's just like, this is the greatest thing ever.
I do feel like, in a weird backward way, you're allowed to be hard on yourself temporarily. If you feel like you are not writing well and you're quote-unquote not a writer, I definitely feel like you probably shouldn't keep feeling that way forever. That's definitely not going to lead you to being a better one. But if you just need to take a break, if you have decided that this is not working out right now, I always feel like it's better to give yourself some time and come back at it later than to push through and probably make something that might not be too good if you're really feeling writer's block, so allow yourself to not be a writer occasionally.
Yeah, well, it's probably like that's easier to do if you don't have like a deadline and like there's something you must produce in a certain amount of time, but you always have time to like go on a walk, go play a video game, or read another book, or do something else for a little while.
Just make sure to appease our capitalist overlords.
Obviously. And ultimately, like, you shouldn't write if, like, you realize that writing is, like, ruining your life and you actually hate it. In which case, it's like, maybe it's just not for you. But if you're someone who's, like, really wanting to, and then you just give up because you're like, oh, I'm no good, it's like, you're not helping anything by doing this. Like, you're just bullying yourself. And
yeah, don't be too hard on yourself.
And my mom has done that also because like she was a writer and then she stopped for many years, and I asked her when I was younger, like, why did you stop writing? And she's like, well, I became a mom. And I was like, oh shit, man. I don't want to stop writing because of real life responsibilities. It's like I want to be able to like return to writing as like a hobby, like hopefully at some point somewhere in my schedule I'd have time to squeeze in a little bit of writing. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll just sleep that whole time, for all I know. But ultimately, like, at this point in her life, like, she could return to writing if she wanted to. And she did actually write a story for a little while. And I thought that was really good for her, and I was happy for her that she was doing that. And then she just kind of stopped, or maybe it was completed, but she just decided to not do anything with it. And I was kind of like, why? And she's like, well, I'm not good at it. And it's like, oh my gosh, I want to kill you. And so for you writers out there that are doing this, stop it. Stop doing that.
Get some help.
Just fucking write.
So yeah, don't be too hard on yourself. You are a writer. Jeff Bezos is watching you.
Thank you for your contribution.
No problem.
So that concludes our little writer's rant. got that off my chest, and I'm sure I'll think of other things that I can bitch and moan about. And there's always things that makes me want to shake someone by the shoulders, slap them across the face a few times and say, "Get back out there."
Yeah, this one might not be great as a first episode for the simple reason that it's potentially lengthy. But these are planned to be a little on the shorter side, just sort of something that we want to complain about for a couple of minutes, but we are going to try not to make them too terribly long because negativity isn't great when it's not constructive, and even if it is constructive, it should probably still be concise. Um, uh, but we still want to complain, so
Yeah.
we're going to.
Complaining can be healthy.
Yeah.
I know something that you could probably rant on about a bit.
I feel like there's a lot of things that could be under that category, frankly.
I just know, like, pet peeves you have with stories like retcons and
Retcons, really egregious fan service, stuff like that.
Mhm.
You can look forward to those topics in the future, should I ever decide that I'm really sick of them.
Mhm. And this was our writer's rant from Writer's Ramble. I am Deanna.
I am still the monster under your bed. Do not look under the bed. You won't see me. I'm really good at hiding. And I'm named Michael.
That's great for all the people that are listening to this at 3 in the morning. Well, sleep tight.
Bye.